Hi everyone, Galliana Angel here. Welcome to all of you amazing healers in this fabulous group. To me, we are miracle workers. While we can't take full credit for the miracles that we're performing, we can give ourselves a pat on the back for volunteering for this journey that, as we all know, is not an easy journey, right? We volunteered and stepped up to help others during a critical time when barely being able to help ourselves sometimes, right? So I just want to send you some love and adoration, appreciation for you and this journey that you chose for yourself. And I'm so grateful to Mr. Bruce for bringing us all together in one place. So I am here to share with you now some valuable information that I have learned over my important journey. I basically have suffered 23 years now from chronic health issues. Everything from, oh my gosh, it runs the gamut. It affects the entire physical body. And I'm so sensitive energetically that then I have issues there as well. And all of that affects the mental and the physical. Turn it around, and a lot of it is the mental and the emotional therein affecting the physical. The blocked energy from the trapped emotions and the trauma that we've experienced. Oftentimes throughout our life, we go through events that cause us to go into fight or flight mode. And sometimes our body gets so used to this stress that it gets stuck and it doesn't realize when the stress is over. It literally gets stuck in fight or flight mode and doesn't know when to turn it off. And my issues started with irritable bowel syndrome and tummy issues, like so many young people, even children, when they have issues at school and they hate school or they hate the kids at school or a situation around their family, so they start having tummy issues. Well, mine by the time I was 15 or 16 was full-blown horrible IBS. As a young adult, I started having some aches and pains here and there, but by the time I had my second child, my daughter, in my early 20s, I started feeling neck pain. Pain in my neck, my jaw, and my shoulders. Well, I was young. I didn't understand what any of that meant yet, but then I started waking up feeling still extremely tired, no matter how much slept I got. I woke up with stiffness in my fingers and my feet and my legs, and before I knew it, it spread to my entire physical body, affecting everything. I got every diagnosis you can imagine. But the main one that stuck, and a lot of you are familiar with for yourself and clients, is fibromyalgia. So I accepted that diagnosis, not knowing what else to do, for many, many years, until I then was diagnosed with a genetic condition called Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which means that all of the collagen in the body is faulty and too loose, so it affects the tendons, the ligaments, the muscles, the organs themselves. It expands too much or gets inflamed really easily, causing herniations, leading to broken bones, craniocervical instability, and lumbar instability. Then it leads to herniated discs, you name it. It runs the gamut. All this led to depression, anxiety, all kinds of mental issues, mood swings. Then I started noticing that I had a lot of inabilities to regulate things within my body. My heart rate started being erratic and fluctuating, going to high ends, low ends, and everything in between. My body couldn't regulate its temperature, so I would get really, really hot easily. I would even sweat profusely. In my early 20s, I felt like I had menopause symptoms already. I would perspire just horribly, and then I'd go into cold sweats and cold chills. And then if I got cold, forget it. I tightened up every muscle in my body, and my entire body would ache, and it felt like I couldn't get warm. And this went on for years. And I couldn't understand why I couldn't just jump in a swimming pool like other people could without it causing pain and shocks throughout my body. It took long periods of time to warm up to the pool to be able to move around in it and function. And I love water. Hot tubs and saunas. I was miserable in them. It took forever to adjust, and then if I even did adjust, I couldn't handle it for very long at all. I couldn't take hot showers, but I couldn't take cold showers. So I never was a comfortable temperature. My blood pressure started skyrocketing for no apparent reason, even though all my blood work came back perfectly normal. And then it started doing erratic things like just suddenly dropping. And I would have syncope issues where I would almost pass out. And I did actually pass out one time, but thank God I became very conscious and aware of what those signs were. So ever since then, as soon as I feel it coming on, I stop whatever activity is happening and I can prevent it. But if I wasn't conscious of it, I could be passing out at any given time. I had doctors, specialists, people that were supposed to be the experts, laughing in my face, literally, rudely, rolling their eyes at me to the point where they would say, nothing causes all of those things in your body. It can't be. So, of course, they made me think it was all in my head. I even saw psychosomatic in my files. I had multiple appointments where I paid these doctors to laugh at me, and I walked out crying hysterically multiple times. But you know what? I my spiritual awakening changed a lot, and over the last year, for those of you that don't know me, I took a sabbatical and I started taking care of myself. I started putting myself first after years of taking care of my 3 children, 2 of which are very gifted, so they had their own special needs. And my husband became a drug addict because of his chronic issues and pain, which were similar to mine, which was really strange. And then, because he couldn't get the help he needed, like so many, including myself, he turned to street drugs to help with his pain. Well, his intentions he thought were good. He didn't want to affect our already struggling budget and finances, so he took up selling drugs to meet his supply. Got caught, wound up going to jail, and now he's in prison currently with a 2-year sentence after having no struggles with the law his entire life, and after 20 years of a fairly decent marriage. But I experienced a lot of trauma throughout the years. I experienced a lot of loss. And then when my husband became an addict, I lived in terror and trauma every day. I couldn't sleep without laying there wondering where he was at night when he didn't come home. Every night I worried that the police were going to knock on my door and tell me he was dead somewhere or he killed somebody with an accident of some kind. Every time he did come home, I couldn't sleep because I had fear of the police busting in my door to arrest him with guns drawn, terrifying my children. I actually lived in fight or flight mode every single day for several years, 24/7. This was on top of the already developed chronic pain and symptoms I already had. So as you can imagine, it worsened to the point where I thought I was going to die, to the point where I was going to the ER for these sudden blood pressure dropping episodes. They kept telling me it was anxiety. Well, partially that was right, but that wasn't the cure or the end-all root of the problem. And that's why I come to you today. As most of us know, traditional medicine, modern medicine, is just a Band-Aid. They throw a Band-Aid on it, they throw a pill at the symptom, they don't address the root cause. So over the last year, that's what I did. I went inward and I addressed the root causes. And spirit, because I do have psychic abilities, were able to show me how to intuitively tune into the root problem for each of my ailments. And after a year, I cleared a lot of important things and improved my health greatly. But it still wasn't all the way. And as a healer and an intuitive, I knew that I cannot possibly be the best healer and come fully into my powers and really help people the way I was meant to until I completely healed myself first. So I kept the door open to any guidance, And having known Bruce for several years now and developed a friendship with him, I accepted his gracious offer for a recent session. And in that session, we had some amazing breakthroughs that are leading to why I'm coming to you today. Because I wondered, why is my body still set to the point where it holds tension so badly that I have knots throughout my neck and body, and I have trigger points and tender points throughout my entire body, even after doing all this work. And I alleviated a lot of the pain intuitively. But what was remaining? There was still something left. And Bruce was able to tell me I cleared all the trauma. There was still something holding the key to keeping that fight or flight turned on. And my body was still trained to think that I was in stress mode, even though I'm happier now than I've been in years. And I've put my life back together, and I've taken back my power, and I'm truly living the life that I love. And I'm this close to succeeding at my first major dream goal. And I'm actually stepping into my power and teaching others how to do the same from a place of authority and experience, because I've done it myself and I know what works and what doesn't. Well, when I expressed to Bruce that my nervous system was effed up, I explained this being stuck in fight or flight mode, and he was able to scan me and narrow in on the vagus nerve, specifically the vagus nerve, instead of other areas of the nervous system. Obviously, this is the biggest area, biggest portion of the sympathetic and parasympathetic parts of the nervous system, more specifically the autonomic, the part that works automatically and automatically controls a lot of your body's responses subconsciously without you even knowing it or having even awareness of it. So this got me to thinking and doing much more research. He sent me some healing. I had a great, wonderful session with him that just relaxed my whole body and made me be able to tune in better. So I went to bed that night. I woke up the next morning and I listened and I tuned in and I asked both spirit and my body, what is the key? And they had me start searching online. And as I found some valuable information that confirmed everything that Bruce and I were suspecting, and that was that the vagus nerve was stuck. And the vagus nerve, if you're not aware, is actually two type 2 nerves that come into a V, actually a Y, almost like a wishbone. And then the main central cord, it comes on both sides of the neck, and the main central cord runs down through every major system of the body, affecting and connecting to every organ and every system. And this vagus nerve actually controls everything I explained to you. Blood pressure and rate, heart rate, the ability to maintain body temperature, perspiration, pain, fight or flight mode responses, including affecting the chemicals in the brain and the release of them for mood stabilization, hormone stabilization, and as you can imagine, all of that affects everything, including your gut, and there is a direct correlation between problems in the vagus nerve and gut issues. So when I was a young girl, and all those years ago my IBS kicked in, my vagus nerve had started to take on the energetic blocks of the emotional pain I suffered when I was a child. And around the time that it began, I had suffered a horrific car accident where I almost lost my grandmother and grandfather. Thank God they lived, but I passed out twice in the incident, and when I awoke, I was covered in my grandmother's blood. And I was extremely close to her, and I didn't know if it was hers or mine, and if I was going to live or die, or if she was even alive. As you can imagine, it was very traumatic. My body was tossed around the back of a minivan, even though I was buckled in. It stressed me considerably. Shortly after that, I developed the IBS. The vagus nervous system, or vagus nerve, excuse me. That morning after the session with Bruce, I tuned in. And as I listened to my body, I asked, what's the deal with my vagus nerve? And I heard the word intuitively in my head, strangled. It's literally being choked out, choked to death. I then tuned in and I said to my vagus nerve, and I spoke to it and my body, and I said, you can let it go now. Thank you. I love you. I appreciate you trying to protect me, trying to send me important warning signs and signals that something was wrong. I'm sorry I did not listen for so long and that I didn't understand, but you can let it go now. The stress is past. The danger is past. I no longer need you to alert me to this. And unlike anything I've ever felt before, prior to saying this, I felt like I had a fist stuck, crammed up in the back of my neck, right under my skull, sitting like as if there was a ball in my spine, right up underneath my skull. And I do have fusion and a metal plate at the base of my skull holding my first two vertebrae together. But unlike anything I've ever felt before, it felt like it popped, like a balloon popped, but a heavy, heavy balloon that was sitting there. And it just dissipated, and all of a sudden, down my spine, through my neck, my shoulders, all that tension, my arms all the way down through my abdomen and down through my body just suddenly relaxed. My whole body relaxed. I felt warmth and comfort and tingling throughout my body, and I immediately fell asleep. Just went out. Thank God I was laying down. When I awoke, I couldn't wait to tell Bruce. This is the key, Bruce. And in my research, I already felt wonderful because in my research, I thought, I feel confident now that I understand the problem that I can heal it. But even if I personally cannot heal it, I read that there are good treatments out there. I've been told my whole life I'm going to be like this the rest of my life. There are no treatments except for pills. But there are treatments for the vagus nerve. If you cannot energetically and naturally heal it, last case scenario, they actually make a pacemaker that just fits under the skin and it helps activate and release the vagus nerve as needed, keeping it from getting stuck, turned on or off. And I just had this weight lifted off to me. I felt like there was in that moment, there was a literal energetic shift. My perspective shifted, the energy in my body shifted, my life shifted. I felt like I might have changed timelines, and I went from being trapped in this body, sick for the rest of my life, to now knowing I'm going to heal this, I'm going to be the healer that I deserve and that the world needs me to be, and I am going to fulfill every dream I ever desired. And I knew it, and I couldn't wait to tell Bruce, because I felt confident I was going to heal this, but if I couldn't, personally, doctors finally could. This was something that they know and understand. And then, like, I'm angel, but at this point, Spirit was using God as my angel. I can't remember if it was the next day or within 48 hours of this event happening. Bruce sent me a link for a webinar, for a free master class on the vagus nerve's healing power. How to tap into your vagus nerve for better health. And I knew it was a sign from God. So I signed up for the master class and I attended. And I am so happy to bring this information to you today because I guarantee you at some point in your life you're going to treat somebody that needs this help. In fact, this class is so beneficial to everybody because all of us experience stress. All of us experience emotional tolls. All of us experience some level of trauma, whether it's a little bit or we get stuck in PSTD. We all experience it. We all have very stressful situations where we need to calm ourselves down right away, quickly, before either we do more damage to the situation or our bodies. And this class had some keys to it. So much so that I know now I am meant to take the full course that starts in January. And I want to give credit where credit is due. Dr. Melanie Smith is currently offering a full course on the Shift Network. You can go to theshiftnetwork.com, SHIFT network.com, and she is offering a full-length course called Tap into Your Vagus Nerve's Healing Power to Rewire Your Nervous System for Optimal Health. Energy medicine to restore your physical, mental, and emotional well-being. Now, Dr. Melanie is an advanced practitioner of energy healing. She practiced under the amazing, what's her name? Eden. I'm sure most of you have heard of her. Donna Eden or Deborah Eden. Donna, I think it is. Sorry, I'm trying to find it. But anyway, she practiced under her and she's an advanced practitioner under Miss Eden, but she's also an actual doctor. She's practiced Ayurvedic. I always pronounce that wrong, so please forgive me. Ayurvedic and Chinese medicine for years. She knows a lot of different modalities, and through working with the vagus nerve herself, intuitively and otherwise with her training, she has basically perfected these techniques to help you tune into your body and heal it naturally and prevent it from happening. And during this webinar, she taught a couple easy techniques that I want to share with you and teach you right now. But I also recommend that you check into, they may have another viewing of the webinar, the free webinar. So check her out and see if you can get on the free webinar so you can check out the class more. If you're not interested in the class, that's okay. I will be incorporating what I've learned into my new course that I'm launching next month. I'm actually starting a wait list for it on my website. In the next week, I will have that up and I'll share it with the group. But Bruce and I are also collaborating on some possible future course information, courses together. But in my upcoming course, I am going to touch on some of these techniques. And if you want coaching from me, you can either take my course. I will give you free information as much as I can in our group, but also if you want a session with me, I will make that available to you or your clients at a discounted rate. But I want you to understand how much the vagus nerve truly affects our entire body. And if you are in the height of a stressful situation, you know how crappy you can feel during it and sometimes for hours afterwards, or the next day you just wake up just so tight and tense and feeling miserable. Well, you can get stuck feeling like that. But if you know the right techniques, you can stop it almost immediately or within minutes and prevent that awful feeling lasting for hours, days, months, or even leading to years. So I want to share with you these techniques that you can teach your clients, you can teach your children. I highly recommend we teach our kids how to do this so they can stop and do it so easily at school, on the school bus, waiting for the school bus, in the middle of an argument with us or their siblings. It's something that we can all benefit from. We can stop and do it while we're getting ready to yell and scream and lose patience with our loved ones. It is a very helpful, quick, easy tool. And in the main class that she is launching, it's a 7-week course, January 3rd. It's a Monday. a 7-week class, and um, she's going to be offering much deeper, more longer, more effective techniques than this. But just these couple of techniques were very helpful. So I want to share them with you now. If you're not interested, you can hop off now. But if you are interested, stay. It'll only be another 5 to 10 minutes. And they're quick and they're easy and they're free. So take advantage for you and your clients. I'm sorry I keep moving you around so much, but I'm trying to do this from my bedroom. Okay, so really easy thing to start. If you're in the middle of a stressful situation and you need like emergency help right now, take your right hand, take your middle finger and put it behind your ear, and then just wrap your hand around your face and your jaw and the back of your neck. Just that simple. Middle finger, tuck it behind the ear, put your hand like this. Now your hand is literally across the right side of your vagus nerve. Then you take your left palm and just put it over your forehead. Gently over your forehead. How many times when we are shocked, scared, anxious, nervous, do we not put our hand to our forehead? That's intuitively. We don't even realize we're doing it. We're putting our palm chakra against our third eye and that energy center and affecting all the nerves throughout. Then you just relax and you hold it there for a minute. And you take your tongue and you put it on the roof of your mouth. And you take a slow, deep, deliberate breath. It doesn't have to be super deep if you get lightheaded easily, just deeper than usual. You take a slow, deep breath with your tongue on the roof of your mouth, and then you exhale with the tongue on the roof of the mouth, harder and more deliberate, so that it almost makes a sound like this. Tongue on the roof of the mouth. Now you don't have to open it real wide. It's whatever's comfortable. But exhale with the mouth open a little bit and the tongue on the roof of the mouth. Let's do that again. And do it forcefully, but not too forcefully, and a little slower than your inhale. Okay, do that one more time. And what this does is it helps reset in the moment the vagus nerve, calming the nerves in your head. Sometimes you'll get a head rush or a headache from the stress, and the nerve relaxes. And you want to do that at least 3 times. But if you're able, and you're in a place where you're able to do it, then we recommend toning, making sound with your throat chakra. Whatever you feel intuitively guided to do, sing, hum, tone it in whatever sound or frequency your body tells you to use. If you can do this, it's optional. You don't have to do the toning if you're out in public, at school or work, in a bathroom, public bathroom. You don't have to do the toning. But if you can, it just adds another layer of relaxation and healing, because you're activating the chakra, and you're sending vibrational energy through the vocal cords and through the neck, which is right next to where the vagus nerve is. So let's try that. You try the deep breaths and then you start the toning. And then you vocalize. Doesn't have to sound beautiful. That's why I said you don't have to do it in public. It doesn't matter what it sounds like. Your body's responding to it. So you do the technique, breathe in and out 2 or 3 times, do the toning. So we're going to do that 3 times, do a little toning, and then we're going to do the last step. Eyes open, eyes closed, whatever feels right to you. But if you notice and you're conscious of it, you'll start to notice things starting to relax as you're doing that. And then the very last step is you place your hands over your heart. You feel into your heart. And you just conscious breathe for a couple of seconds, couple minutes, however you feel you need to do it. You can do the tongue on the roof of the mouth breathing again. That will relax you even further. And be conscious and aware of the nervous, anxious energy just leaving your body and you being calmer in that moment. Now, I drug that out. That took a little while to explain, but you can do that in a matter of a minute, maybe even less. You can do it within 2 minutes. The longer you do it, the more release and relaxed you're going to feel. But in an emergency, in a hurry, you can get that done quickly and come back to what you were doing. So you can excuse yourself for a moment if you're able from a stressful situation, come do this, and then enter back in and give the decision or manage the situation, whatever you need to do. And then there's one more quick technique, similar to that, but different hand positions. Same overall premise, okay? Take your palms and put them together like this. Now, just like you did with your right hand, you're going to use both hands and take your middle fingers, tuck them behind your ears, place your hands around both sides of the face, now covering both parts of the vagus nerve, and then arms together. They don't have to touch completely. You can, but it's not important as important to focus on your arms and how they are as it is where your hand placement is. This I suggest you do every day. I'm going to start doing it morning and night. The other one you can do with it for prevention, but the other one you can use in the heat of the moment. You can use this in the heat of the moment as well. You can do both anytime you feel needed to. Listen to your body and your heart and your gut and what it's telling you to do. So tuck the fingers behind the ears, hands together, and now you do the breathing the same way. Feel everything relax. Then move your hands down to your heart. Focus on your heart. Whatever you feel guided to do. Relax. She calls that one the peacemaker, because it brings instant peace on. Now, these are just two very simple techniques. There are so many more that I am going to be excited to share with my students in my courses and people that need it as they need it. But the purpose and point of this is similar to Reiki. You can't heal something overnight with Reiki, usually, unless it's something that's not a life-built process. The same way you built years and months of certain issues, you also now need to rewire the body and rebalance it so that it works properly again. It's not going to heal overnight. But it also may not take as long as you think. If it's just a one-time thing from a car accident or an argument or something, you may heal it with just a couple of sessions. But if it's something like mine that's 20 plus 30 years of built up damage to the vagus nerve, it's going to take a lot of time. But it could be weeks versus the years that it took to get that way. Maybe months. But what an easy couple of techniques to do from the comfort of your home for free. Then it will rewire, and eventually you'll notice you need it less and less. And you can stop doing it every day and then just use it for actual issues as they arise, or you can continue to use it for preventative. But I hope this helps. I hope that you find guidance and use it where needed with your own family and friends, as well as any clients that you may have. Please feel free to message me if you have any questions about it. And if you feel guided to take the full-length course, you may see me there. I'm not sure how it's structured. I think they'll have some group calls, so you may hear me on one of those calls participating. And I don't know about you after learning this, but I am super excited. How many things can this help? Seriously, how many things can this help and treat for our loved ones? This is one of the answers God's guided me to, so I'm hoping it brings you great benefit too. Thanks for watching. See you guys later.